Today we are going to be looking at Chapter 2, Soil Formations. Today we are looking at soil formations. We are going to be learning how soil forms over long periods through interacting processes. Remember the 5 classic factors: parent material, climate, organisms, topography, and time. Each factor pushes the soil system in a different direction, learning the distinct properties and horizons. By the end of this, you should be able to connect profile features you see in a field to those forming forces. The rock cycle continually refreshes the supply of minerals that we can weather into soil. Igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks transform via melting, cooling, weathering, erosion, compaction, and recrystallization. For soil scientists, the key takeaway is that fresh mineral material is always being created and exposed. That steady supply enables soil formations whether climate and organisms have time to act. This figure comes from your textbook and shows the different ways that metamorphic, sedimentary, and igneous rocks are formed. Most crustal material is dominated by oxygen and silicon, forming silicate materials with aluminum and iron also being common. That chemistry controls the minerals that appear in soil after weathering. As those minerals break down, they release plant nutrients or form clays that hold nutrients. So the starting rock chemistry echoes that of soil fertility potential. The figure comes from your textbook and shows you the element and ions for the listed elements: oxygen, silicon, aluminum, iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Silicate minerals: quartz, feldspar, and mica. Quartz is very resistant and tends to contribute to sandy textures without adding many nutrients. Feldspars and mica are less resistant and release cations like potassium, sodium, and calcium as they weather. Those reactions also yield clay minerals, which increase cation exchange capacity and water holding abilities. The balance among these minerals shapes both texture and fertility outcomes. Igneous rocks form from cooled magma or lava, with cooling rates affecting crystal size and weathering behaviors. Basalt typically weathers faster and often gives a finer texture and is more fertile in soil. Granite tends to weather into coarser, sandier material that drains quickly. These differences mean management strategies diverge based on the underlying igneous parent material. This picture comes from your textbook, and it shows igneous rocks. Sedimentary rocks are made from compacted or cemented sediments and can include sandstones, shales, and limestone. Sandstone-driven soils often have a low water and nutrient retention due to sandy textures. Slates can produce finer textured soils with high water holding capacity. Limestone parents can elevate pH and calcium levels, which in turn will affect the nutrient availability and structure. The figure comes from your textbook and shows types of sedimentary rocks. Metamorphic rocks are transformed by heat and pressure from existing rocks, changing mineral arrangements and texture. Slate from shale or schist can produce a wide range of soil textures depending on metamorphic grades. Marble from limestone often carries carbonate influences in the soil. The variability of metamorphism means local field observation is crucial for a correct soil interpretation. Soils develop through physical, chemical, and biological weathering that act together. Physical weathering breaks rocks into smaller pieces without changing the composition, increasing the surface area. Chemical weathering alters minerals and dissolves components, creating secondary minerals like clay. Biological weathering includes roots and organisms that both pry apart and chemically alter rock materials. In this photo, you will see that exposure to weathering causes tiny cracks to develop in the surface of rocks while allowing for chemical reactions to penetrate their solutions. Plant roots exploit fractures, expand them as they grow, and produce organic acids that promote dissolution. Lichens and microbes colonize bare rocks and secrete compounds that accelerate their mineral alteration. As organisms add residues, microbial activity increases and drives future weathering. Biology therefore kickstarts and sustains the transformation from rock to soil. The freeze-thaw cycle expands water in cracks and physically wedges rocks farther apart. Thermal expansion and contraction from daily heating and cooling also stress rock surfaces. Abrasions by moving water, wind, or ice rounds and grinds particles into smaller sizes. All of these processes increase reactive surface area for chemical weathering to process faster. Hydrolysis reactions occur when water molecules split and react with minerals, forming new minerals and releasing cations. This process reduces grain size and increases soil capacity to retain water and nutrients. Hydrolysis is the central engine of the clay formation in many different climates. Hydrolysis is a reaction between water and minerals that breaks down minerals into clay and soluble ions. Oxidation involves the loss of electrons, which will often turn iron to reddish colors. Reduction occurs in waterlogged, oxygen-poor conditions that produces a gray or bluish-gray color. These redox patterns become visible as mottles or uniform color zones in the soil horizon. Reading these colors will help us diagnose drainage or seasonal saturation within a field. Hydration adds water to mineral structures, sometimes causing expansion and aiding disintegration. Solution dissolves soluble minerals such as carbonates and moves them downward with percolating water. Over time, these processes can leach bases from the upper horizons and accumulate them below. This vertical movement drives the differentiation of the E and B horizons. Reduction occurs in waterlogged, oxygen-poor environments. This is important in wetland soils and floodplain soils. Solutions. Minerals dissolve directly into water. Soluble minerals like salt and gypsum are easily removed from the soil profiles by leaching. This contributes to the soil horizon development through loss of material. Parent material provides the initial mineral and textural template. Climate sets the pace for weathering and leaching through temperature and precipitation. Organisms add organic matter, mix soil, and cycle nutrients, altering structure and chemistry. Topography controls water movement and erosion, while time allows these processes to expand as horizons. This photo comes from your textbook and shows where bedrock soil and peat soil may be found. Parent material in a topographic location is acted on over time by organisms and climate. Residual soils form in place from the underlying rocks and often reflect local geology. Transported materials arrive via wind, water, ice, or gravity and can be very different from the bedrock. The mode of transportation controls the sorting and particle size, which affects drainage and fertility. Recognizing transport history is key to predicting the variability within a field. This picture comes from your textbook and shows how bedrock may be blanketed by sediments from several different sources. Aeolian deposits are windblown or loess, specifically in predominantly silt-sized particles. Loess landscapes are famous for deep, uniform, and highly productive soils. However, bare loesses are very erodible and need residue cover or living roots. Management should emphasize erosion control and organic matter maintenance. Loess are windblown deposits. They are extremely fertile and are ideal for our agricultural communities, and these can be found in the Midwest or in Central Europe. Volcanic ash weathers into allophane and amygdalites, giving soil low bulk density and high water holding. These soils can strongly fix phosphorus, requiring careful phosphorus management strategies. They often support highly productive agriculture with appropriate amendments. The low Friable tilth is a hallmark of ash-influenced soils. Glacial till is unsorted material directly deposited by ice, giving a mix of particle sizes. Outwash is sorted by melting water and is commonly sandy or gravelly with high permeability. These contrasting materials can occur side by side, creating sharp changes in the drainage. Detailed mapping helps align management with these textural breaks. Alluvium is deposited by rivers and often forms deep, fertile soil on floodplains or terraces. These deposits can be stratified, affecting root depth and water movement. This figure comes from your textbook and shows representative land forms. You can see valley slope, terrace, floodplains, and different deposits. Alluvium accumulates at the base of slopes, is poorly sorted, and may be stony. Expect variable drainage and depths over short distances in colluvial settings. Warmer and wetter climates accelerate chemical weathering and organic matter decomposition. Colder or drier climates will slow both weathering and OM turnover, preserving residues longer. Seasonal precipitation patterns control leaching depth and horizon development. Climates therefore set both the rate and the style of soil formations. Living organisms. Plants, animals, and microorganisms affect soil formation through organic matter input, soil mixing, or chemical alterations of these plant materials. Humans are also an influence of the soil through how they are using land use. Grass leaves are normally higher in bases, broadleaves of trees are intermediate, and conifer needles are the lowest. Slope, steepness, and position control erosion, deposits, and water retention. Summit and shoulder positions often have a thinner, drier soil, while foot slopes are deeper and wetter. Depressions may show glazed colors due to prolonged saturation. Mapping fields by landscape position helps tailor drainage and fertility management. This figure comes from your textbook. In a drainage cantina, the soil reflects the effects of a long-term moisture condition. Given enough time, weakly expressed horizons become distinct and diagnostic. Young soils show minimal profile development, while mature soils exhibit clear A, E, and B layers. Very old soils in stable climates may be highly weathered or leached. Time thus integrates all other factors into visible profile patterns. Surfaces tend to become smoother over time as hills are worn down and valleys are filled. The O horizon contains most organic material, especially in forested systems. The A horizon is a mineral topsoil that is mixed with organic material and is key for fertility. The E horizon is a zone of elevation where clays and oxide are leached out. The B horizon accumulates these materials below, while C is the weathered parent material above the bedrock. This figure comes from your textbook. The profile on the left illustrates a soil from a subhumid grassland, and the one on the right shows a soil from a humid hardwood forest region. When you open a pit, read color, texture, structure, and root depth by horizon. Note any signs of erratics, clay film, carbonate accumulations, or abrupt textural changes. Ask which formation factor best explains what you see in each horizon. Then translate these observations into drainage, fertility, and management implications. Aquatic cycling helps to concentrate nutrients near the soil surface. Through different climatic vegetation regions of the U.S. would reveal many different kinds of soil.